Welcome everyone to the Daily Dizzle for Friday, January 7th, 2011. I am Tommy Dizzlemits as always, and holy crap, we have a ton to cover today. We've got the box office, we've got movie news, we've got the wild card games this weekend, so we're going to jump right into it before I waste any more time, shall we? So at the box office for yesterday, True Grit was sitting on top again with $2 million. It is sitting north of $95 million altogether, so it's probably going to cross $100 million today, so that's pretty epic. Number 2, Little Fockers, continuing to trail. It is at $1.5 million for the day yesterday, sitting at $110 million altogether for its gross. So it has exceeded its budget. It's going to be making money. So even if the reception sucks, it made money. That's the point of Hollywood movies. Number 3 for the day on Thursday, we had Tron Legacy with $1.3 million. It is just south of $140 million altogether right now, and it's made a ton of money around the world. So, yeah, that is another epic success story. So, even though the grosses aren't as huge as the holidays normally are, the movies are still very successful. Now we've got the Oscar trio coming up, 4, 5, and 6. At 4, we've got Black Swan, $1.2 million. The Fighter, it had only $1 million for the day yesterday, so it's actually trailing by a little bit more than $2 million right now in the race between those two. The King's Speech made over just under $900,000, so it is sitting at $26 million altogether. 7, we had Chronicles of Narnia 3, Voyage of the Dawn Treader, with over $500,000. It is sitting just south, right on the brink of $90 million right now. So it might, even this weekend or maybe next week, cross $100 million for sure. 8, we had Tangled making just south of $500,000, though it has crossed $170 million altogether. 9 is Yogi Bear, so there is the trifecta of family films right there. It made just south of $500,000 as well. It is sitting under $70 million right now, though it will cross that mark for sure today. Rounding out the top 10, we have How Do You Know? So that is sitting just under $27 million right now. It made over $400,000 for the day yesterday. Outside of the top 10, the only other 2 movies to make in the 6-figure range were Gulliver's Travels with north of $400,000 for the day, though it's sitting at under $30 million. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 was just outside of that with over $300,000. That just crossed $285 million altogether. The only other interesting note was The Tourist. That was very big movie 2 days ago, making just south of $600,000. It must have had a theater drop, or I don't know if interest just went crazy south on it. It had a 90% drop from Wednesday to Thursday, going from almost $600,000 to under $60,000. So I don't know if that is an error in the box office tracking or what, but way to go, Tourist. So with the box office coming up for the weekend, a lot of the top movies are pretty much going to remain the same. All those ones that we mentioned are probably going to be having the top, 10 or 15 spots, somewhere in that range. The other 2 movies that are coming out this weekend, one has been out in limited release, but it is adding a lot of theaters. It is going from 2 theaters to 1,424 theaters. That is country strong, trying to appeal to the southern audience, like The Blind Side did, to become an epic breakout. It's probably not going to do so well. People are pegging it between $7 and $10 million. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt and say maybe it can get $10 million because Gwyneth Paltrow's singing is getting a little bit of attention. Meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, we've got Season of the Witch, the latest Nick Cage movie, opening at 2,816 locations. Nicolas Cage has always been a consistent box office draw, but it's not necessarily the greatest box office draw in the last couple of years. For a while, you could guarantee his movies would open, at least in the $10 million range. Then it was around, The Wicker Man kind of started the streak of subpar $10 million. Under the $10 million mark, it made $9.6 million in its opening from about 2,784 locations. This movie's going to be opening wider, hoping that there's still an audience for those. But, I mean, if you look at his other movies that didn't open so well lately, like Next and Bangkok Dangerous, they both opened in the $7 to $8 million range and ultimately made less than $20 million. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt and say that Nick Cage's openings have held up at least over time, and say that maybe this one's going to make $7 million for the weekend. So those are Dizzlemits predictions for the newest movies at the box office. We'll have full coverage on Monday how badly I guessed on those ones. Speaking of Nick Cage, let's start with him in today's movie news because he's out promoting Season of the Witch. He said apparently, he is going to be in the sequel to Ghost Rider, even though they're kind of redoing it. Apparently, they're going to have a new introduction sequence. So they're really going to confuse people who are going expecting a sequel to the other one, especially with the same guy attached. But really, Nick Cage must have had one of those awesome ironclad contracts with the studio that if they tried to get him off of the project, that they would have to pay him more than the project was ever worth. So, congrats to Nick Cage on that one. Now some news coming out of the Academy Awards. For the visual effects category, they have to whittle it down to 5 nominations, and right now they are down to 7. They're apparently going to have a vote to see which 2 get knocked off. But right now, the category as is looks like Alice in Wonderland, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Hereafter, which was the Clint Eastwood movie, which people thought might get some Oscar recognition, though people don't even remember that it was in theaters, probably, for the most part. Inception, Iron Man 2, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and Tron Legacy. So, I can't wait to see Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Tron Legacy get shafted on that one. Though it'll maybe be more likely Iron Man 2 over Tron Legacy, since Tron was a little bit more visually impressive of a movie. So we'll see how their choices go ultimately in the long run. For Star Wars fans, apparently they're finally going to be releasing the Blu-ray versions of those movies come September. They're going to have all of the movies together. It's going to be 9 discs with all 6 films and a lot of bonus content, I guess. Otherwise, they're going to have 3-disc versions of each individual trilogy. I will probably get the ones, the old ones, not the ones that came out in the last decade, because as a kid, Star Wars was a shit. Last decade, I don't care anymore. So Eminem's going to be popping up in a lot more movies, it seems. We told you that he was circling some projects a couple weeks ago. Now, apparently, he is attached to star in the crime thriller Random Acts of Violence for 20th Century Fox. Apparently, he would be an ex-con caught between his former gang and the FBI, who would want him to work as a snitch. And apparently the dude who wrote Californication, who also penned the most recent draft of the script, is also going to be directing the film. So that's kind of cool. I like Californication, so that is awesome news to me. Three Stooges, a long time ago it was reported when it was set up at a different studio that they were going to have Jim Carrey, Sean Penn, epic actors in the roles, Benicio del Toro. Then it got moved to a different studio. The Farrelly brothers have taken over, and now it looks like the short list for the 3 main characters, Mo, Larry, and Curly, are going to be Johnny Knoxville, Andy Samberg, and Australian comedian Shane Jacobson. Outside of Shane Jacobson, who's kind of an unknown, Andy Samberg is definitely a good choice from SNL. He knows comedy well. Johnny Knoxville has worked with them before on The Ringer. That was more of a physical movie. They know he can do it well. Apparently, they're going to be doing it more like the Three Stooges show was, where they're going to have the movie split up into like 3 half-hour segments about the physical comedy. I love the Three Stooges as a kid, so that's awesome news to me. Now, some big Judd Apatow news. After Funny People, he's kind of been hush-hush. People haven't been really clamoring for him as much. But apparently, his follow-up project, it's going to involve Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann. They were the married couple in Knocked Up, and they're going to be reprising that role. So it's going to be very interesting. No matter what the story is, it's going to be hilarious because their interactions were some of the funniest things in the movie. Other awesome comedy news. I'm a huge fan of Reno 911. I love the fact that Thomas Lennon and Robert Ben Garant have written a ton of family movies, like Night at the Museum and stuff, in addition to Reno 911. Now, apparently, they've got a comedy coming out called The Wee McGinty. The story revolves around a wish-granting leprechaun who loses his memory and decides to join the local firefighting squad. He is soon in danger of being discovered by other leprechauns who will ostracize him forever. Apparently, they're going to be rewriting the script that is pre-existing at the moment. So pretty much they're going to take it and add their own stuff to it, their own gags. They do a lot of improv too, which is hilarious. Obviously, if you've seen Reno 911, you know that it works well. But apparently, Thomas Lennon will play a major supporting character in the movie, while Garant will direct. So that's going to be good. Meanwhile, if anyone's a fan of the game Uncharted, there have been many rumors about the movie who's involved, who isn't at the moment. For a while, it was Mark Wahlberg was circling it, but might not be attached to star. He might just produce. Right now, apparently, Mark Wahlberg, in an interview out for The Fighter, made some pretty big confirmation, saying David O. Russell is writing right now, hopes to direct it, and right now it's Wahlberg, Joe Pesci, and Robert De Niro. So that's some pretty big news for a video game movie, to get those trio of actors. Hopefully it's going to shoot in the summertime, according to him. And also, for any fans of Entourage, in the same interview, he also said that they're not going anywhere after the show ends. Pretty much, the movie's not going to be a one-off. Hopefully, it will be the first of at least 3 Entourage films, according to Wahlberg, who is the executive producer of the show. So that is some pretty big important news. And that closes out the movie news of the day. But oh my god, like, I was pissed off when I heard Entourage was going to be ending. I know it goes back and forth, but the end of this last season was great, and I can't believe that they're going to have a short season next season. It's going to be kind of crazy to see how exactly they are able to wrap things up. Though, you know, they say that they're going to do a trilogy movie, so there's probably plans to spill into there. Though it might go in danger of essentially being the runaround of Vinny has already crashed his career a couple times and keeps coming back. So who knows how exactly they're going to do that, but I am excited nonetheless about seeing Vinny Chase in company on the big screen. So with the coverage of the games, let's go from Saturday right through till Sunday. First, we've got an NFC wildcard game at 4:30 Eastern Time. The New Orleans Saints are going to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. I'm predicting the Seahawks on that, because right now the Saints are really relying heavily on Reggie Bush, while the Seahawks have overall been doing better performance-wise. The Saints are coming off of a pretty bad losing streak, and I don't know if they have enough in their tank right now to turn it around. Meanwhile, Leon Washington on the Seahawks, one of their top return mans, he is definitely going to make an impact, especially with no defense to stop him. Meanwhile, after that, for the AFC wild card on Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, we've got the New York Jets going to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. I like the Jets. I'm from New York. But really, since I hate Peyton, I can never go against him, because every time I do, he ends up winning. It's only those times where I'm like, alright, I need you to win this game, that he has to fail me as well. So I hate Peyton, and that is why I'm picking the Colts to win, because the Jets are just way too shaky at this point. Then on Sunday, we've got the first game of the day. The Baltimore Ravens are going to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. While the Baltimore Ravens do have the better record, I got to go with the Chiefs. They're at home. They only have one home loss this season. And I mean, they haven't been the best team overall, and their quarterback needs to really come together under pressure. But still, they're at home. Every team is shaky on the road. They've got the home field advantage. They've been doing pretty good with that this season. So I think the Chiefs are going to stick it to the Ravens. And then for the NFC wildcard game to close out the weekend of NFL action, we've got the Green Bay Packers going to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. The Eagles might have been on fire before. Michael Vick might have been, considered for an MVP. Right now, I have to go with the Packers, though. They've been showing a lot of momentum lately. Even though it's a little bit more even of a game overall, because the Eagles have clear advantages if they use them, but because they've been shaky lately and the Packers have the momentum and they do have the ability to keep Vic contained, got to go with the Packers as the winners of that. So we'll have the coverage of not only the box office predictions, but how the playoff wildcard predictions ended up panning out on Monday, but we'll also have our weekend update Saturday or Sunday, so maybe we'll have some live reaction updates from me. I'm sure I will be very drunk and very upset in some cases, so it could be some of the funniest things in the world. So make time to see us tomorrow, but we do thank you for joining us as always. If you haven't seen some of our previous editions yet, either check out our channel on YouTube by clicking the link, or go ahead and go to youtube.com/Dizzlemits. So that's all the time we've got for today on the Daily Dizzle. As always, we do thank you for joining us. I am Tommy Dizzlemits. We hope to see you back here during the weekend for our weekend update, and next Monday for the next Daily Dizzle.